look, here's what I remember about the beginning of 2020 when the pandemic hit. And we won't belabor all of the minor details about what happened when COVID first hit. But I remember talking a lot about how breakfast is dead, the morning day part is dead. We watched Starbucks sales take a dive off the cliff. What was different about Dutch Brothers in those early days? Were you guys scared, or did you feel pretty good about your position that you were in?
Put it this way, we've never been afraid. I think
Right.
fear is one of those things that stifles people. It paralyzes folks. It's false evidence appearing real. So, as we go along our path and things that come our way with change, our crusade is to figure out how to adapt to those changes and find a way to make lemonade out of lemons, if that's what we're dealing with. And at the end of the day, our world is changing faster and more so than we've ever seen it. So there's a lot of moving parts and the game's complex, but that's, part of our DNA is change and how we evolve.
And I think when we went, when you go back to late March of last year and we don't know, our first case came down in Monmouth, Oregon, and people weren't sure about safety and what was happening. And what we did really was go back to the values of the company and really what Trav and Dane had started in 1992. And that was, let's make sure we take care of our people. Let's make sure we communicate at an outstanding level to the field on a regular basis. Let's make sure we follow the rules. Our jobs weren't to be doctors and to second guess. We were basically here to say, what can we do? And then really we also just leaned squarely into philanthropy, because we did get a lot of Dutch Bros is an essential business. Why are you guys open? And I think one of the key decisions we made in late March was that we donated all of our profits in April to a program called First Responders First. And we ended up writing almost a $3 million check to
Wow.
First Responders First. And what it did is it really helped our people immediately have that reaction and feel proud about something we were doing versus just having to defend why we were open. And the other key things we did is we pulled all promotion. We didn't want anybody to think that we were trying to incent you to come to the window. So we pulled all promotion and just said, listen, we're here to serve. We're here to provide you a great experience. But we're not after anything more than just helping you out and helping you have a better day. We did see daypart shift, and we certainly had some labor challenges and things of that nature, but it wasn't anything that we couldn't get through. Really it took the collective effort of the team to kind of help us manage through what was a tough April, but we got through it. And fortunately, we're in the drive-through business, and we didn't have to deal with shutting down indoor dining.
I want to bring this back to the coffee too, because like I said at the outset of this, it was interesting to watch breakfast in particular. Just it took a while, I think, for breakfast to figure itself out. Coffee, of course, being a little bit separate from breakfast generally, but I'm wondering how the relationship your customers had with your product maybe evolved because of the pandemic. And I'll just throw out a personal anecdote for my own local coffee shop. I just remember suddenly going to get a cup of coffee and sitting in my car and drinking it felt like, an adventure because I was getting out of the house, right? So it just felt like suddenly our relationship with these very normal experiences, like running through the drive-thru for coffee, really changed. What did you guys see from your customers, the way their relationship with Dutch Bros changed over the course of the pandemic? And were there any ways you guys tried to kind of harness some of that?
Well, we definitely saw changes. I think that as things evolved and depend on what market you were in and so on and so forth. But the big change for us was definitely a shift out of the morning. All of a sudden our 6 to 8:30, 9 a.m. business was cut dramatically. And we saw all of that business, almost all of it, move from 9 to 11:30. And there was a big shift. So, just people out of their normal routines, instead of going to work, going to school, they were basically coming to us for a break once they got their day started. The other big shift we saw was the amount of items per order went up significantly. So we saw ticket go up, and it was just hey, I'm going to Dutch. Anybody want anything? And so we saw ticket rise quite a bit. And I guess one of the beauties of our concept is we don't really sell any food to speak of. And so we're really reliant on that beverage number. So we also don't do drip coffee. So we do everything from an espresso based. So it's a little bit more of, we serve the second drink in a day part. So if your first drink was black coffee at home to get your day started, we're going to be there for that second drink. So we just saw that second occasion move to more 9, 10, 11 a.m. And then we saw our afternoon business continue to do very well and hold up strong in afternoon and evening. And one of the unique parts of Dutch Bros is that our day parts really spread pretty even across our business based on the portfolio that we sell. So we certainly saw things shift, but I'd say that dramatic one was that early morning to mid morning was the big shift.
I want to unpack the drive-through innovation thing just a little bit, though, because surely you guys, we've put a little bit of distance between us and the worst of the pandemic, right? I mean, things look pretty good from that standpoint. You must have one eye on the future. You must have learned a lot as far as operations and technology go. So when you think about drive-through innovation, what does that look like? What are you guys looking at for the future that might, really update, I guess, the Dutch Bros drive-through model?
I think our app is really the focal point, and Joff, maybe you want to elaborate on that. But to me, that's something that's an example of innovation that we've done just recently, and where that can lead us. So I'll let Joff answer that because he's very much involved in the nuts and bolts of it.
So I think app is definitely a start of it. I think how you transact with the customer. I think app technology in the way that apps are used, and maybe more consumer interface, more consumer interchange on app value and app benefit, I think is one key area to that. I think that we all need to be watching car technology. I think that it's maybe not so much the things that we have control over, but the things that the customer is going to get introduced to in their lives. And we're seeing, early conversations around vehicle technology and the ability to transact via your car. And you're seeing some tests happening with gas stations and things like that. I think the technology space is super important. We're watching carefully about pre-order and how do you balance, I want my drink versus the experience that we provide. And I think as you think about customers' expectation and experience, I think you have to be looking at that as the way that you offer up your drive-through experience. There's going to be an amazing way to do that. And then there's going to be a way that people think of it as yesterday. And so watching customer experiences, watching how technology interfaces with that, watching the technology that the customer is introduced to, maybe not so much the industry, but the customer, and how you tap into that. I think those are all trends that we need to be watching closely. And I'm sure that there are various big companies doing that, and we're paying close attention to it. But I think for us too, we have to balance technology with our experience, because we have to remind ourselves that we're probably never going to be best in class in the tech space, but we will always challenge ourselves to be best in class in the experience space, and make sure that we don't let one maybe overshadow the other.
I think if we carry on the conversation with Elon Musk and teleporting coffees to everyone, that would be maybe the way for us to get best.
I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that.
He's not returning my call on him, man. I don't
know. Are you guys breaking that news right here? Because you can.
Yeah,
I
there
accept.
You go.
The first teleported coffee. I like it.